Hello to all fellow Taoists. Welcome back to the 3D animation channel. Today, I'll be analyzing the content of episode 147. My analysis is based on the original novel A Mortal's Journey to Immortality. If any fellow Taoists have further suggestions or modifications, please leave a comment below. In this episode 147 analysis, I'll divide it into 4 main parts. Part 1 is the Heavenly South's landscape and Han Li's return. Part 2 is the fates of old acquaintances. Part 3 is an analysis of the Heavenly South's 4 major powers. And Part 4 is why Han Li joined the Cloudfall sect. Okay, now let's begin. 1. Heavenly South's landscape and Han Li's return. A mortal's life only lasts 100 years. Even a Foundation establishment cultivator only has a lifespan of about 200 years. Time flows ceaselessly. Han Li, after his arduous journey in the scattered star seas, has returned to the Heavenly South. By this time, he is 197 years old, so calling him Uncle Han would not be inaccurate. Most of his acquaintances who did not manage to form a core have already passed away. If he encounters anyone in the future, be they friend, Li Huayuan died in a war against Mulan cultivators. Of course, Li Huayuan's fate in the animated version is already known to everyone. It remains unclear how the series will portray the reunion of old Devil Yunlu and Han Li, and whether Han Li will avenge his master. When Han Li advances to nascent soul, he will meet senior martial uncle Lei Wanhe and senior martial sister Diane. Through Lei Wanhe, Han Li learns that all of Li Huayuan's disciples failed to form a core, meaning Song Meng and Zhong Wenyang have both passed away. Of Li Huayuan's lineage in Yellow Maple Valley, only Han Li remains alive. Fortunately, Yi Chuier of Yellow Maple Valley successfully formed a core and even got married. Senior martial sister Chen Xiaoqian of Yellow Maple Valley, however, never married. Due to her lingering affections, her Dao heart was hindered, preventing her from forming a core, and she succumbed to a strange illness and passed away. Han Li later learned all this from Chen Xiaoqian's elder brother, Chen Xiaodian. Within Yellow Maple Valley, the most favored individual was Dong Xianer. Because she joined the Joyous Union sect and received old Devil Yunlu's full cultivation support, she naturally succeeded in forming a core. She even sent people to search for Han Li because he had become Dong Xianer's heart demon. The solution was generally similar to Nam Gongwan's situation in the past. Either submit to Han Li or marry him. Otherwise, her cultivation would be extremely difficult to advance. As for Nam Gongwan, she has already reached nascent soul, but is currently living uncomfortably within the Veiled Moon sect. Nam Gongwan's senior sister is forcing her to marry Wei Lishen of the Spirit Transformation sect. It is said that Wei Lishen formed a nascent soul in just over 300 years and possesses boundless divine abilities, considered an unprecedented cultivation prodigy in the Heavenly South. Notably, Elder Wei Ya of the Spirit Transformation sect, one of the 3 great nascent soul cultivators of the 9 Nations Alliance, is Wei Lishen's biological grand ancestor. But don't worry, when Han Li reaches nascent soul, a grand battle to reclaim his wife will unfold, and Han Li will be sweating profusely. 3. The 4 major powers of the Heavenly South. Next, I will introduce the 4 major powers of the Heavenly South. Han Li was already familiar with the Righteous Dao, the Demonic Dao, and the 9 Nations Alliance. However, the Heavenly Dao Alliance is a powerful new organization that emerged after he left the scattered star seas. The Heavenly Dao Alliance is a confederation of sects from over a dozen smaller nations, established to counterbalance the larger righteous and demonic Dao forces. However, if the righteous and demonic Dao were to truly unite, the Heavenly Dao Alliance would still not be a match, as the righteous and demonic Dao cannot truly form a sincere alliance, and the Heavenly Dao Alliance is quite loosely organized. As long as the righteous and demonic Dao do not actively attack, the Heavenly Dao Alliance also cannot gather forces to launch large-scale invasions. This is why a 3-way standoff has formed. Over the past century, these 3 forces have not engaged in any major wars, maintaining this miraculous balance. The greatest credit for this goes to the 9 Nations Alliance. The 9 Nations Alliance, in the past, took in the 6 sects of State and many other sects exiled by the righteous and demonic Dao, along with various rogue cultivators, greatly increasing their strength. Everyone thought that this would easily allow them to overwhelm the Mulan cultivators of the plains. Unexpectedly, the Mulan tribe received strong reinforcements from the 2nd and 4th tribes, doubling their number of cultivators. The war between the 2 sides became even fiercer. After many major battles, both sides suffered heavy losses, and the Nine Nations alliance fell into a disadvantageous position, even losing some territory. Out of necessity, the Nine Nations alliance was forced to send pleas for help to the Righteous Tao, Demonic Tao, and Heavenly Tao alliance, simultaneously threatening that if these three forces did not dispatch troops to participate, they would fully open their borders and accept Mulan cultivators. Although the Righteous and Demonic Tao and the Heavenly Tao alliance were displeased, they knew that if the Nine Nations alliance truly retreated due to the Mulan cultivators' ferocity, their own lives would not be any better. Thus, they reluctantly dispatched some forces as reinforcements. As a result, after another decisive battle that caused thousands of cultivators to perish, the Nine Nations alliance finally resisted the Mulan's attacks and temporarily stabilized their position. However, from then on, the Nine Nations alliance learned its lesson. They demanded that the other forces take turns dispatching personnel to jointly repel the Mulan cultivators. If they alone bore the burden while the other three forces remained at ease, the Nine Nations alliance would absolutely not tolerate it. After a long period of negotiation, the four major forces finally agreed. The Nine Nations alliance would take the lead, with the other three forces providing support, and they would sign an agreement to jointly resist the Mulan cultivators. Thanks to this agreement, over the past century, although the Righteous and Demonic Tao had fully digested the vast territories they had gained previously, they dared not restart a war due to the constant threat from the Mulan and the warnings from the Nine Nations alliance. Regarding Han Li's current location, the northern region near the Boundless Sea, including the Qi State and two neighboring nations, all belong to the Heavenly Tao alliance. In simple terms, the Heavenly South currently has four major powers: the Demonic Tao in the east, the Righteous Tao in the west, the Nine Nations alliance in the south, and the Heavenly Tao alliance in the north. Because the Nine Nations alliance borders the powerful Mulan cultivators, continuous warfare has forced the four major powers to temporarily halt their internal conflicts and unite against external threats. 4. Why Han Li chose to join the Cloudfall sect. Having introduced the contentious situation in the Heavenly South after a century, let's now look at why Han Li chose to join the Cloudfall sect. Initially, he intended to find a secluded cave, enter seclusion, and use elixirs to advance to nascent soul. However, man proposes, God disposes. Han Li discovered that no matter what kind of elixir he consumed, it had no effect. Even 6th grade or 7th grade elixirs were useless. This greatly surprised him because, according to records, 7th grade elixirs should certainly have an effect before the nascent soul stage. But Han Li was a special case. Previously, he had consumed the heaven-mending pill, which had improved his physique over many years. Although he wasn't born with a spiritual root, his absorption of heaven and earth's spiritual energy had reached the limit of a 3 spiritual root, even comparable to a 2 spiritual root. Furthermore, not long ago, he also received the spiritual energy of the marrow cleansing fluid from Maying. Coupled with his current late core formation cultivation, his spiritual energy absorption rate was constantly increasing. Therefore, ordinary elixirs might not be as effective as his self-cultivation speed. Of course, a true prodigy is also a result of many combined factors. Han Li once drank Foam Shi's Jade Flame Wine, a type of breakthrough elixir originally intended for demonic beasts, which surely had a significant impact. Is he experiencing drug resistance? Only time will tell. With Han Li's way of consuming elixirs, drug resistance is quite normal. Currently, he is not far from the late nascent soul stage. If elixirs are ineffective with his current cultivation speed, if he can find a region with abundant spiritual energy, he might be able to complete his breakthrough in just over a decade. Therefore, Han Li shifted his focus to finding a nearby place with spirit veins. Areas with spirit veins are usually occupied by immortal cultivation families or sects, leaving him no choice but to blend into a cultivation family or sect. Immortal cultivation families are often unreliable because they occupy inferior spirit veins and only accept disciples from their own lineage, making it difficult for outsiders to join. But immortal cultivation sects are different, especially the large ones. They not only possess the best spirit veins, but also have many high-level cultivators. If something were to happen, Han Li wouldn't need to reveal his cultivation, avoiding any impact on his cultivation. Han Li could calmly remain hidden until he forms a nascent soul, at which point he would have nothing to fear. By then, as long as he publicly reveals his identity, the high-ranking members of the sect would have no choice but to recruit him, not foolishly provoke him. Naturally, he should choose the sect with the most abundant spiritual energy. In Han Li's mind appeared the renowned spirit vein Holy Mountain of the Heavenly South, Wangmeng Mountain, located in Yen Prefecture, Qi State, the second largest mountain range in the far west. Wangmeng Mountain is a famous spirit vein Holy Mountain throughout the Heavenly South. Within the mountain, there is a legendary spirit eye tree, one of the 3 great divine trees of the immortal cultivation world. Every 200 years, the spirit eye tree secretes a type of spiritual liquid called pure liquid. This liquid cannot be consumed directly, but is an excellent ingredient for refining certain special elixirs, especially the legendary holy pills. The spirit-stabilizing pill requires this spiritual liquid as a nourishing fluid. The spirit-stabilizing pill, also known as the mind-calming pill, not only helps increase cultivation but also stabilizes the mind, significantly reducing the invasion of heart demons, making it very effective for the nascent soul advancement stage to resist heart demons. Han Li is about to form a nascent soul. If he could obtain the spirit-stabilizing pill, it would be excellent. Currently, Wangmeng Mountain is jointly occupied by the Ancient Artifact Sect, the Cloudfall Sect, and the 100 Craft Pavilion. Therefore, blending in as a Qi Condensation disciple and entering one of these 3 sects is the best choice. Initially, Han Li's gaze was not on the Cloudfall Sect but on the 100 Craft Pavilion, renowned for refining magical artifacts. However, this pavilion primarily accepts disciples from immortal cultivation families, with few outsiders, so Han Li had to give up. The Ancient Artifact Sect accepts both family disciples and rogue cultivators, but requires high spiritual roots for their Tao of swords and blades. Although they frequently recruit disciples, they have the fewest in number among the 3 sects, and Han Li's spiritual root was too poor to be accepted. Ultimately, only the Cloudfall Sect remained. The Cloudfall Sect is a multifaceted sect that accepts all types of disciples. The lowest entry requirement is merely a decent spiritual root with potential, and the sect is willing to take them in. Furthermore, if one's foundational cultivation is sufficient and their basic cultivation techniques are practiced to a high level, even with poor spiritual roots or advanced age, they will be accepted. These conditions seem tailor-made for Han Li. Consequently, the Cloudfall Sect has the most disciples among the 3 sects, but the weakest overall strength. The Cloudfall Sect's strength lies in its reputation for alchemy. The spirit-stabilizing pill can only be refined by the 3 sect masters. Han Li transformed into a new Qi Condensation Layer 10 disciple and passed the Cloudfall Sect's entrance examination. He was not afraid of revealing his identity, because with his current cultivation and the miraculous nameless body refining technique, unless a nascent soul mid-stage cultivator or higher meticulously examines him, no one would discover it. The Qi Condensation Disciple Examination was merely a formality for Han Li. Notably, Sun Ergu, a descendant of Donghua from before, also joined the Cloudfall Sect as a rogue cultivator and reached foundation establishment in just a few years. He later recognized Han Li as his master. The Cloudfall Sect is located on 6 Peaks Mountain, consisting of 6 peaks. Han Li joined the Heavenly Spring Peak. Here, he was assigned to a cold and indifferent young woman in her 20s, Guang Shuwan, originally Mu Fai Ling, who would later become Han Li's nominal concubine when he reached Middle Foundation Establishment Cultivation. At this time, Mu Fai Ling was busy and did not bother with Han Li, assigning him a medicinal garden to cultivate on his own, and even giving him a jade slip containing the water attribute profound ice cultivation method before flying off with someone from the old garden. Han Li was delighted that no one bothered him too much, effectively having a private place to cultivate. Afterward, Han Li would advance to nascent soul within the Cloudfall Sect, officially becoming a sect elder. Once he forms a nascent soul, Han Li and the Cloudfall Sect will soar together in the Heavenly South. That concludes the content of episode 147. See you all in the next episode 148. Goodbye and see you again.